In this presentation, we will set up jobs, items, and accounts, getting much more detailed in the list of items and list of accounts within QuickBooks Pro, QuickBooks Desktop. Here we are in our practice problem 3 within QuickBooks. We currently have the open windows open. You can open the open windows by going to the view dropdown and selecting the open windows list. Let's consider what we're going to do by first going to our Excel sheet. We're in the example tab within the Excel sheet. We're going to be running a similar process as we did with the example problem 2, and that will be that we're going to be posting the transactions to the cost of goods sold rather than going through the work in process and the finished goods to get then to cost of goods sold. Then we'll have that adjusting entry at the end of the time period. What we're going to do now is set up the jobs. The jobs over here are going to be supporting the amounts that would be recorded into the cost of goods sold, in this case, accounts. We want to set up the 3 jobs in a similar fashion as we did in a prior presentation. However, this time we're going to set up the items in a bit different of a fashion, and we're going to give more detail that will be shown in the general ledger account. So here all we see is the cost of goods sold. We're going to break out the cost of goods sold and then the items that will be included by account, and we'll also set up items related to it. That's going to be the thing that's going to be able to allow us to drive this cost tracking system within QuickBooks. So the list of items and accounts that we're going to set up will be these. We're going to enter these list of items and accounts, which will in essence be on the account side the items that will be included in the cost of goods sold account. So when we set up these accounts, then we're going to set them all up as cost of goods sold type accounts under the cost of goods sold category type of accounts, and we will set up related items to them as well. Let's go back to QuickBooks and see what that would look like. Back in QuickBooks, we're going to set up our 3 jobs. We're going to do this fairly quickly because this will be the same setup that we did in prior presentations. We're going to go to the customer dropdown. We're going to go to the customer center. Then we're going to set up our customer first. So I'm going to add a new customer up top. The new customer is going to be, I said Smith customer. That's all we're going to set up here. And I'm going to say OK. We're going to set up our 3 jobs by selecting the customer we want and then the drop down and adding a job. The job we're going to add is going to be job 14. Then I'm going to go to the job info to change the status, changing the status to in progress, and then OK. Then I'm going to go back on the customer, select the drop down again, add a job. This job is going to be job number 15. Then I'm going to go to the info and we're going to say that we're going to have it in progress and OK. One more time, we got to be on the customer. We're going to go to the new item and then we want the job. This is going to be job 16. And then we're going to go to the job information, and within the job information, it's going to be in progress job, and OK. So there are our 3 jobs. We need to add items and we need to add accounts. So I'm going to go to the accounts first and show us how to add the accounts, and then I'll go to the items and add the items, and note that we can add accounts as we add the items, which we'll do after we add a couple accounts. So we're going to go to the lists drop down. We're going to go to the chart of accounts. So we're going to open up our chart of accounts, and the accounts that we're going to set up are going to be cost of goods sold types accounts. I'm actually going to create a parent account called cost of goods sold because I want to break out between cost of goods sold and then the overhead type of accounts, which we're going to need some allocation base to allocate between the jobs, and then all other accounts which are not cost of goods sold. They're not part of the job. So I want those 3 things to basically be broken out. Now, QuickBooks already has a cost of goods sold section when we label it as an account type of cost of goods sold, but I'm going to create another sub account so I can break out cost of goods sold and then the overhead costs. So I'm going to go down to the account rise up down here, the drop down rise up, and we're going to go to the new. We're going to make this a cost of goods sold type of account. So I'm going to call this a cost of goods sold type of account and continue. And then we're going to name it, I'm just going to name it cost of goods sold. And that's going to be our parent account. All other accounts that fall into cost of goods sold, I'm going to put in the sub account of the cost of goods sold account. I'm going to say save and new. And I'm going to do the same thing for a cost of goods sold type of account, but I'm going to call it factory overhead. And what that's going to do is it's going to break out the overhead. I'm going to put everything that's overhead into that section. So it's still part of the cost of goods sold, but we're going to need some kind of allocation method to allocate that. And I want to indicate that within our statement. So then I'm going to say save and close. So then we have those two. Those are our parent accounts. Now we're going to set up our other accounts, which are going to be these accounts. They're going to be all cost of goods sold type of accounts, but I want to put them in this format. So I'm going to enter these accounts into the system, and I'm going to enter them as cost of goods sold as the parent account of them. So I'm just going to copy these. I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to go back over and say I want a new account, and then we'll create a new account. It's going to be a cost of goods sold type of account, and I'm going to say continue, and then we're going to put that as the name, and I'm going to put it as a subsidiary account, sub-account of cost of goods sold. And then I'm going to say save and close, or we could say save and new, let's say. And then we're going to take the next one. I'm going to copy this one out, plaster, and I'm going to go back over here and say that we need to say this one. It's going to be a sub-account of cost of goods sold. And we'll just continue with this. I'm going to say save and new. I'm going to copy the next one, cement, and we're going to go back over here. I'm going to make it a sub-account, the sub-account of the cost of goods sold, save and new. And then we'll go to the next one here, which is going to be all this, and we'll come back over and say there's that. And we're going to create it as a sub-account of cost of goods sold and save and close. And then we'll come back over and we'll make another one and copy that. And oh, I closed it, huh? Shouldn't have closed it. I'm going to say new, rise up and new. And we're going to make this a cost of goods sold type of account and continue. And let's do this one more time. There it is. And there is that. Okay, now we're going to have to do the same kind of thing when we set up the items as well. So now we're going to set up the items, and the rest of these accounts here, I'm going to set them up as we set up the items, which might be a little bit faster because as we set up the items, we'll have to assign an account, and then we'll assign these accounts to them. So let's see what that would look like. So notice how it looks here. We got the cost of goods sold and then the sub accounts. When we actually start to post these items out, then on the profit and loss statement, these accounts will fall under a subcategory of cost of goods sold. We'll do the same kind of thing for the factory overhead, and then we'll be able to break those two things out, and then everything else that's not cost of goods sold will fall into the bottom section or underneath that. And we'll be able to break out those items that we need to tie out to the job cost sheet from all the other type of items. Okay, so now let's do a similar process with the items. So I'm going to go to the lists up top. We're going to go to the items. We're going to set up new items in a similar process here. So we're going to go to the items, rise up. We're going to go to the new item. We're going to create a service item, and they're all going to be our double-sided items as we've seen before. So we're going to check this box, and I'm going to go and do the same process here. I'm going to go through the surface finishing, come back over. That's going to be our item. Same description here, so that looks good. We're not going to put anything in the cost. And then the expense account is going to be the, what did we just surface? The surface, this one. We want that one. So now we just set that up, right? We found that account. We already have the account set up. We're going to pick it. It is a cost of goods sold account, right? It's a sub account, a cost of goods sold type of account. But this will give us more detail on our profit and loss report. And then we're going to go to the income account. We haven't set one up. I'm just going to call it income. And we'll set that up. And there is that. It's going to be an income type of account. And we will say save and close. Then let's do this again next, and we're going to go through this full process. We're going to set up the plaster item, and we're going to say there it is there, here it is there, and then we have to change this account because we want to take it to the plaster account now. So it's going to go here. The income account will be the same. And then I'm going to go next. We'll do the same process. I'm going to copy the next one, make another item for it for the cement. Back over, and I'm going to say cement. It's on both sides there, and then we have to choose the account that we set up, which is the cement. There it is, and next. And the next one we set up was this one. And we're going to say that's going to be the item, the description, and that's the ceramic, that's tile, that's that one. And then we'll say next. And now we haven't set up an account for these, but we can set up an account as we set up the item now. With this, this will be a little bit faster. So I'm going to copy this. We're going to go back over and we're going to set up the item. Then I don't have an account yet, right? I don't have an account, so I'm going to set up a new account. And I'm going to make this a cost of goods sold type of account. So I'm going to go here and say we want this to be a cost of goods sold type of account, sub-account of the cost of goods sold, just as we did before. And then, so it's the same input screen here, so we can set up the account as we set up the items. And the account's basically going to be the same thing. We just need to set it up under the sub-account of cost of goods sold. And then we're going to say OK. And the name is already used. We already have that one. Let me close that back out. Maybe we did that one already. We did do that one. We haven't done the next one. All right. So we're going to add this one. This one's already been added. Next time we'll add a new one. And then we're going to go next. And let's do this again. Now we have the flooring. So I'm going to add the flooring here and here. And then we're going to select the drop down, add a new account. I'm pretty sure we don't have this one yet. So I'm going to say the flooring. It's going to be a cost of goods sold type of account, sub account of cost of goods sold. And then we'll say save and close and next. And let's do this again. We're going to say the marble. And we're going to add the item here, add the item here. Then we're going to add a new account for the marble, sub-account of cost of goods sold. Sub-account, oh, it's in the expense account. We want cost of goods sold account, sub-account of cost of goods sold. And then save and close, and we'll do this again. Now we have the wall covering. And we're going to say we want this, and then we're going to pick up a new account. And for the cost of goods sold type of account for the wall covering. And we should be putting this in the description as well. Probably would be best to do that. And I'm going to say save and close. And then we've got the next account, paint. We're going to copy that, come back over, and we're going to say next. Add that item here and there. We're going to add a new account then and paste it here. And that's going to be a cost of goods sold type of account and save and close. And then we'll say next. And then we have the safe. And I'm going to say there's that and that. We're going to add a new account for the safe. It's going to be a cost of goods sold type of account. So cost of goods sold. And okay, and then next, and then we have the stucco, and we're going to put that here and here. We're going to add a new account, and it's going to be a cost of goods sold type of account. So we'll make it cost of goods sold, sub account of cost of goods sold, sub account of cost. And notice I didn't put some of these into the sub account, so I need to go back and fix those. I'll go back and adjust that. So I'm going to make this a sub account of cost of goods sold. Okay. And next one, we have the wood finishing. Wood finishing, I'm going to say next. We're going to set up a new item. And we'll make it a new account. And it's going to be wood finishing, and it's going to be going into cost of goods sold, sub account of cost of goods sold. All right. Now I'm going to say save and close and okay. So there we have our items now. We're going to give more detail on the items. Now, if I go back to the chart of accounts, you'll notice I go back to the chart accounts in the open windows, and we have these sub accounts set up. Now, these items down here, you'll note I missed setting them up under the sub account. So what I'll do is I'll go back in here and fix these. And obviously I did that on purpose to show everybody this. No, but we're going to go into the paint. Let's go into the paint. Then we're going to go to the account. And then we're going to edit the account. And then we're going to put it in the subcategory of cost of goods sold. and then save and close. You can also right click on them. Here's the safe. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to edit it. And then we're going to put that into the sub account of cost of goods sold. And then we're going to say save and close. Then we're going to go into the wall covering, right click on it, edit it. And then we're going to go into the sub account of cost of goods sold. And then we're going to go into the that's it. I think that's all it. Everything looks good. All right. Now we're going to add one more at this point. We might add some more as we go. We're going to go back to the item list. I'm going to make a new item now. We're going to go to the item drop up and we're going to go to a new item. And this is going to be a service type item again. I'm going to have the double-sided and it's going to be for the direct labor. So direct labor. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to put that here, and on the other side, the direct labor, we're going to put that to another account. I'm going to call it a new account here, and it's going to be the direct labor. It's going to be a cost of goods sold type of account, and the sub account of the cost of goods sold. And then we're going to say save and close and OK. And I didn't add the income account, so the income account is going to be the income account, and then we can say OK. So there we have that item. Now if we go back to our Excel sheet, note that basically what we've set up here is in essence the direct materials being broken out now. So the direct materials were breaking out by the detail of the direct materials, creating a separate item for them and a separate account which will all fall into the cost of goods sold account as well under that detail. And then we have the direct labor account, which we set up that one item for. We have not yet set up the factory overhead accounts. We're going to set those up as we go through the problem. So as we go through the problem, when we allocate the overhead, we'll set up the items and we'll set up the accounts as we go. When we look at it in Excel, note that we're not going to be breaking out the detail. We're going to run the same Excel problem where everything is grouped into cost of goods sold and supported by the job cost sheet by the direct materials, direct labor, and factory overhead. However, in QuickBooks now, we're breaking this out into more detail. So you'll see the overall numbers, if they group all together, will match what we have in the same worksheet that we did last time that we'll be working this time. However, we're going to give it that more detail that we're going to be breaking out for our benefit in the QuickBooks system.